I'm the voice, and this is Divi Updates, episode 31. I'm feeling like a little bit of Korean food. How's it going, guys?
Good.
Rob, Neegs? I don't know. That was terrible.
It was fine.
Going great. It has been a very long time.
Yes. I've been gone
Rob
for a month.
Yeah, you were exploring the world of crypto events.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So the last month I was in Korea, Singapore, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. And you can sort of think of the activity as a peak. Korea had good activity. Singapore had I don't know. There was like 20,000 people there, and then add 50,000 more for the F1 that was going on. And then San Francisco had a lot of tech going on, and then LA had less stuff and less crypto focused, even less AI focused. It was mostly like most of the stuff I went to was about AI and journalism, AI and film. Like that's what most of the kind of like the tech stuff happening in LA was. But so let me just go through all of those.
And in San Francisco, you were with Voice for the first time, right?
Yes.
That's true.
I met Voice for the first time there. And, like in real life. And the man looks like me. We got the same haircut. We're about the same height. So
I think you're a little bit better shape than I'm in.
Yes, I run a little bit more than you. But other than that, it was just weird. Anyway, so let's start in Korea. Went to Korea for Korea Blockchain Week. It was chock full of events, but again, I mostly stayed at the DNA event because a lot of people get attracted there, and it acts as kind of a honeypot for both founders and investors, and they usually have a big space. I did go to a few other events, but mostly there. And it was typical. It was the same as you had a good spot, met a lot of other founders, met a lot of investors. I don't really have much to report on anything being out of the blue or out of the norm there. It's a frenzy of people trying to network and so forth. But it is one of the first places that I noticed a shift in our industry. And for me, it's away from crypto and it's towards what they're calling DATs. So much like the first ICO, and then everyone did ICOs, and then the first NFT that became popular, and then everybody tries to do NFTs, and then Pump.Fund becomes popular, and everybody tries to do Pump.Fund. DATs are digital asset treasuries. Michael Saylor, there's been some before Michael Saylor, but Michael Saylor definitely kind of spearheaded the effort of putting Bitcoin into a corporate treasury. And so that's called digital asset treasury. And I suspect that what he's doing is going to end up being okay. But now everybody's doing it. And what a digital asset treasury is basically a corporation puts Bitcoin on their books and holds it in a wallet. And that's what I mean by it's not really crypto. Like there's nothing crypto about it other than holding an asset in a wallet or in storage. They hire a company to hold the asset for them. Like that's it. That's what digital asset treasuries are. It's nothing more than that. What they're doing is putting a ticker symbol. It's making a company a proxy for the asset. So for Michael Saylor, I don't know that strategy actually does anything anymore. Right? It's just holding Bitcoin and it has a public ticker. So that's what they're doing with other digital asset treasuries is that they're proxies that the public ticker, like on the stock market, it acts as sort of a proxy for the digital asset treasury that they have. So for example,
I may add on top of that. So the initial idea of that is, of course, Saylor, and he was really to give an access to normal investors who don't want to touch crypto, something that is more normal for them, right? Like something that they can invest into. And I think we can add also that On Bitcoin, of course, it is not really feasible, but for other coins, the digital asset treasury is also promised to be the best manager of those funds. So for some assets, you can actually do restaking, or you can actually make that money work, right? And so they also promise to actually manage that money the best for you, like if you were having those assets. So, and I think it will evolve, right? Right now, they're very focused on one asset, but obviously, I think it will expand to multiple assets. Just wanted to add that.
Yeah, sure.
It makes me a little bit uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And in fact, they're already expanding to other assets. Many of them are making digital asset treasuries with things that don't have Bitcoin in it.
Yes.
And in fact,
Yeah, what I meant is they are mono asset right now. Like they started that, and it is focused on Ethereum or Litecoin or whichever, and it is not Ethereum plus Bitcoin plus. Like it's not really a portfolio, but I think it will come.
Yeah, I think that's true. Right now, you're right. It's single asset, and what they're doing is, as the people buy the stock, they take those revenues and put it into buying more of the asset. And they call this a flywheel because it obviously is supposed to pump the asset. And so the more people buy the stock, the higher the price of the asset. This sounds like something else to me. And like my personal opinion is that there's going to be a lot of pain coming.
You mean the newcomers are fueling the profits of people who were there before? I can't remember where I saw that process.
Right. So I think there's a ton of pain coming, and the ones that are Bitcoin only will have less pain. I think the ones that are doing this with altcoins are insane. I think they're like the people who started it, the people who got it in early. I think they're going to be fine as long as they get out.
They always get out.
Yeah, and I think the people who are going to come in at the end are going to get set on fire.
It's Pareto's principle. It's the 80-20 rule, right?
Right. And so, you see their model, like what they say is that they're protected because there is no link between what they sell and the assets. So they all claim it's the same excuse by Saylor, right? Like he doesn't have to sell the assets that he's holding because he would just have to emit new shares at the new price, and then that's it. But this has an end. Like it can't just be done forever, right?
Yeah.
So when you can, if we have like a dozen or more of those companies, I think it would be a terrible moment.
The other thing is these are public stocks, which means you can just buy them, which means a ton of uneducated investors are investing in it. And when they see the price of the asset go down a lot, they're going to pull their money. And if they're going to pull it too late, and it's going to cause a cascade in the other way. I just, for me, it just seems insane. I'm not touching any company that has DATs, with the exception of MicroStrategy. As I said, I think Bitcoin going forward is going to be fine. It's the ones that are doing alts. I think that's insane. And that's just my personal opinion, not financial advice. You can burn yourself to a crisp.
So we will talk later about the market situation, but I don't expect Bitcoin to have like too bad of a time. Definitely not like altcoins. However, we could have like a major correction that is a correction across multiple cycles, not just one cycle correction, right? And I think in that situation, of course, I don't know how it works exactly, like all the details that are private in MicroStrategy or strategy now, but I'm sure there is a wall somewhere, like where he just can't sustain. And obviously, he will not talk about it when he's interviewed, but there is a wall somewhere.
Yeah, and yes, in the background that's happening, without a doubt, that he'll never talk about in front.
For sure.
Of course. One more thing. So if you're going to go down, so now we have to watch out for something, right? So like we invest in stocks. Do they have a DAT? Is that DAT in altcoins? Like you have to go look now. Worse. When I'm talking to, when I was listening to some of the DAT speeches or panels, It's not just whether they have a DAT or not. It's not just whether the DAT is an altcoin or not. The DAT, you have to look whether it is funded by capital or by loans. And so you'll see a lot of hedge funds in their cap table and things like that. And those are the ones you want to stay away from. Do normal people do that? I know I don't look at that when I buy a stock. So like there's pain and suffering coming, according to me. So
yeah, and I mean, you know what happens when you have pain and suffering? You will have a bunch of regulations.
Yes.
Yeah, but
And
also regulations, right? Like
burn.
if normal people get wrecked because, let's say, trad finance as now the volatility of crypto, I'm sure they will do something. Like, honestly, like I think it wouldn't be an issue if those companies had, I don't know, maybe 5% or 10% of their portfolio in a very volatile asset. But having a whole company relying on an asset that is extremely volatile seems extremely crazy, right? I think that the fact that Saylor pulled it off was already a big risk, but he did pull off. But it doesn't mean there is an open, an open road for others to do the same. So I think it would be interesting to see how it goes.
It's the exact same thing as that $63 million NFT that's now worth $300. It's just that. So somebody wins, and I think Saylor will win. I think those that are focused on Bitcoin, that are being invested in with cash and not loans and hedge funds, will do okay, especially long term. But I wouldn't touch anything else, honestly. Like nothing.
Yeah.
All right. So that was KBW. That's where I first saw the thing about DATs. DATs made its name throughout the entire month. Like that's how important it is right now, and how much adoption DATs are getting. And I just it's taking a lot of mind space and panel space and talking space, even though I just don't consider it like anything to do with crypto at all. But that's just me. So then straight from Korea. Oh, by the way, really liked Seoul. Really like Korea looks gorgeous. I can't wait to go back. Not for work. Like it was. I really liked it. And if you've heard me before about Singapore, I really like Singapore. Also, the difference is I wouldn't live in Singapore. Like Singapore is great to go for like 5 days. And then it's pretty spectacular. Food's amazing. The architecture's amazing. Everything is brand spanking new, clean. Like subways are amazing. Even the buses are amazing. Everything is like, even the airport immigration is amazing. Like you basically just walk in. I mean, yes, there's surveillance. The other side of this is surveillance is everywhere, and the punishment for laws are draconian. So
right.
There's a give and a take there. So, but really, you do your facial thing, you walk in. I can't remember if there's a thumbprint or not. There might have been, but there is no line walking in. There is no line walking out. It is the
But it's
opposite.
also, if you infringe upon the laws, I mean, you get those benefits, and so you say draconian, but what's draconian about it? I don't know.
Apparently you just mentioned the fingerprint. That seems pretty draconian.
Well,
no, that's not draconian.
Everybody's going that way. That's
going to jail for having a durian in the subway. Durians stink, right? Like it's not the only thing that stinks, right? Drugs, like a little bit of pot or whatever leads to enormous fines. And I've heard death, but I'm not sure about that one. I haven't actually checked that. But that's what I mean by draconian. Like the punishment for law violation there is over and above anywhere else. But that said, there's a ton because it is so predictable on just living there, getting to work, doing your stuff, and so nice. Literally every tree in the city, every single tree is touched by a human. Like there's nothing natural growing there. Every tree is touched every year. So these are little stats I learned about it. So it's gorgeous. It's very comfortable to be there, get around there. But let's get back to crypto. Anyway, so that's
wait,
why I like
I just
it, but I
wanna ask
wouldn't
one
live there
question.
and I wouldn't stay there. Yeah.
One question.
Mhm.
When you compare the two, Singapore is known for its beautiful city and
Mhm.
its draconian laws. Is it similar?
To Korea?
Yeah.
No.
No. Okay.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's not like that. And, if I call Singapore like this pristine city, like
Yeah.
other great Asian cities are like that with a little bit more tinge. So for example, I would say Korea has a little bit more tinge. Uh, um, Tokyo has a little bit more tinge than Korea. Hong Kong, like more. And then for me, I know people love Bangkok, but for me, Bangkok's like this shit show. Like, it's not that bad. It's just very similar to where I live right now in Puerto Rico in terms of the way things look, smell, and are maintained.
All right. So we understand that when we go to these places, they're beautiful. You just don't want to spit on the sidewalk, and then you should be fine.
That's honestly, like when I was crossing the street, like sometimes I just cross the street because A, I'm used to it, and B, like I'm late or whatever. But every time I felt like there was a problem because no one crosses the street on a red there. Like no one. Like that's how.
Right. Yeah,
that's how.
That's a problem for me, because if I get on a street and there is no car, like I'm sorry, I don't care it's red. Like I'm not obedient to a light. Like what's important is I don't get run over and I don't create problem with the traffic, right? So if there is nothing, like I'm an adult, I can watch left and right. So I don't have to. Yeah, it's very stupid. Like just because some people are stupid, now it's imposed on everybody.
I don't think it's about smart and stupid. It's about order and disorder. That's what all laws are for. It's about order and disorder, not order and chaos.
Yes, but if you
you're causing chaos.
No, I agree. But if you cross the street when there is like no problem, then you're not creating chaos. The problem are those who cross the street when it's not the right time. They create chaos, and because of that, now you have to stop. You have to wait for the right light.
Chaos by not following the laws. That's the chaos you're causing.
Well, that's the overreach of what a law is intended to do.
I'm not defending it. I'm talking about why these laws exist and why laws exist.
So I think we can agree on both sides. Neeks is correct. If he doesn't infringe upon anybody and nobody infringes upon him, and there's no negative to crossing, it is just a law. But the law is
a rights conversation when the law is about a chaos and order conversation.
I see what you're saying.
No, but the problem is the law itself, right? Like it should be different, but the problem is it can't because other people will just not. So that's the problem, anyway. Right? Like if the law was saying you can cross if there is no problem, but then people would still cross when there is problem. Right?
Yes, that's
the issue. Yeah.
So anyway, so Singapore again, the events. So I spent a lot of time with one of our partners' investors. So we can talk about that a little bit. They did get on an investor, not for like the full amount, but that did happen. And I spent a lot of time with that group. And I also spent a lot of time just going from event to event, different kinds of events. I got to speak sometimes. I got to meet different avenues of people, I can call it. So as usual, Singapore was like just chock full of events. There's always something to go to. There's no way to go to everything that you might want to go to. I did notice a lot of AI there, of course. So for a year now, the AI and crypto has not changed much. That relationship, most of the AI uses crypto for fundraising, and not for what I would call kind of like annealing the truth. So crypto is really good for kind of enshrining reality. Like so when something is in a ledger, you and I can both go verify that's true. And we know because it's there that thing happened, right? AI is the opposite. It obfuscates the truth, right? So we don't when AI outputs something, we don't really know where along the spectrum it is unless we check it. So like, anybody using AI knows that if it gives references, you got to check all those references. They won't be right. And some of them won't exist. So it makes shit up. Same with like programming, right? If you're using AI for programming, great. It came up with some code. Is it right? You have to go check. Right.
Yes,
so the thing that AI comes up with really obfuscates reality, and you have to check like where along the spectrum of completely fake to true every single thing it outputs it is. So blockchain's the opposite of that. I don't really see anybody kind of like working with that with that kind of like back and forth between crypto and AI. And frankly, like I'm not really sure myself like what it would be. So really, crypto is just fundraising, and what I do see is not AI in the Chat GPT method, but AI in the agent method, an agentic method, where you can arm an AI with a wallet like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's starting to happen.
Yes.
But I've tried a bunch of these. So I've looked at virtuals.io. I've looked at hollow.ai. I've looked at, so there's a bunch of these. Yeah,
we saw them in action, or at least in variations of true and then examples.
In San Francisco. Yeah.
It's scary to me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And so, like the crypto version of AI, where there's crypto agents and you can trade the agents and platforms where agents are making money for you, kind of thing. That idea, it's still super difficult. Like it's like people. That's not the way people are going to use agents. Like somebody could offer a centralized version of that and just wipe the decentralized version off the planet, because it's because nobody's going to do it that way. Not when there's a crypto front end that is complicated to use and barely works. Like I tried to get on virtuals.io. I had to go through the process like a number of times just to connect a wallet. And then after that, it's just not ready for normal people. And maybe it wins. But there's a bunch of things that have to end. And the coin to do the thing is another huge barrier for things like this. Like you buy your coin in order to be able to use these AI platforms when it should just be using like the blockchain fees. I think that's a huge problem just in crypto, period. And it's one of the things that we're fixing. And it's important because I keep seeing it. And like this guy talked on a panel and he's talking about how great it is and somebody made all this money. And I went on to it and I found like, I don't know, maybe there's 20 agents there. There's hardly anything. He's talking about thousands and thousands of agents. So what I'm seeing is like a lot of these attempts, which is good. Like that's what we want. Somebody will nail it. But so there's a ton of that. And so that's pretty much, so Singapore was filled with that. San Francisco was filled with more AI kind of point of view. It was more AI centric than crypto. There was some crypto there. And then LA, as I said, as I start out with, it was really like crypto and journalism, crypto and film, which is super interesting. Crypto, AI, and film. Yeah. So in all the panels I went to regarding film that had AI in it, it just looks like that industry's over. And what is it we can do with AI that can rejuvenate the industry? But the industry, the way it is now, is just we're on the cusp of making films that look like Avatar that cost like $10,000. Like that's what we're on the cusp of, and it's the same kind of thing we saw before, but it's similar but opposite. That's weird to say, but what I mean is when CGI came on board. So I'm this old, right? So I used to work in Hollywood making animatronic creatures, so like robotics inside the creatures, and that industry got wiped out, not wiped out, but diminished by CGI. You can do it with computer graphics rather than actual creatures. But if you look at the number of people working in the credits list skyrocketed when CGI came on, because there's so many steps and so many people involved with all these little steps to make the CGI work. So this is the opposite of that. So now a single person can command AI to do short clips that you band together to make full movies. Now we're on the cusp of this, and we're on the cusp of changing. Like right now, if you've noticed, your prompt has to describe everything in the scene. We're on the cusp of having an agentic form that handles different parts of the scene, so that this one agent is handling just the background, and so you can just tell that agent to change the background from sunrise to sunset, or change it from Hong Kong to New York City, right? And so that's super interesting because uses way less people. This like the whole Hollywood industry is going to be changing a lot. But the other thing is we can now make movies that are in flux all the time. And so what I mean by that is you send the movie over to Asia, and instead of New York City, it's showing Hong Kong, right? Also, you can change it by advertising, right? So the person's holding a Coke, you can change it to a Pepsi for that distribution. So you can change these. Obviously, you can change the languages. You can change the look of the main character. Like, these movies are going to be different, right? Same movie, but hyper localized is something that's coming.
So it's like, I don't have the terminology right, but they have what is the app that they use for graphics? Maya. Maya is an app. For those of you who are listening, you probably don't know what that is, but if you do, there you go. They also have an open source one called Blender, and these are programs that allow you to create 3D animation, maybe simple things, but 3D animation. You can create videos with them. And you can actually grab the background or object, and that becomes, I guess I just said it, it becomes an object on its own. So what you're describing is moving away from the developer at the computer clicking the object and manually doing it, but applying sort of an AI prompt to that background and just going go. Yeah. And then it changes everything for you. That's crazy, because to build these videos by hand using something like Maya, which is completely, artificial, it's not a person in there, or Blender, can take a long time, years in some cases, to really, or at least months with many teams. So that's crazy.
And now think about, look at programming, right? So I can definitely make massive steps ahead in ways that would take me forever doing details and looking up the format of the API request, blah, 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 blah. The computer, the AI handles all that instantly. And I think that's what's going to happen. It's going to make a good 80% draft or 90% draft. And then you're going to have to get some people tweaking. Hopefully, these AI models work within, Maya and 3ds and all those other Blender to make models that humans can then manipulate afterward. I assume that's how it's going to be. So it's not going to be a devastation of the industry. Coming. Yeah. It's not going to be a devastation of the industry. It's just going to be a massive reduction. Or massive reduction and a personnel required to put something else, and then a massive expansion of what, we're going to see a shit ton of more movies. And it's going to be impossible to wade through them because it's so much more available to everyone. And so we're going to need AI to help find the stuff. This stuff can't be published on YouTube, hyper localized ones. So we're going to need,
why not?
agents.
I think YouTube can actually implement those tools, right? With localization, and it's Google major advertising system. I'm pretty sure they would be very happy to develop a plugin that's only for that. And so
Gemini
when you click
movies
on the
coming now.
YouTube video, now the revenue is coming in that source or this one, and so I'm sure that it can be done there.
Yeah, maybe.
So there are blockchains that are actually, I don't even know how they're doing it, but there must be a secondary layer or something to where they're using the CPU or GPU resources of their nodes for AI. How does this affect Divi? Is there anything here that side chains can be done?
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, I'm looking out there. There's Aether as an example out there that you buy their box, and it's Aether is providing decentralized storage. There's other ones like that where you can use your computer for decentralized storage. Once you have decentralized storage and decentralized compute, you can certainly do some form of decentralized AI. There's been a couple of so BitTensor is supposed to be decentralized AI. I see a shit ton of hype on BitTensor. For me, it just that's not the way I think about decentralized AI. BitTensor is a fork. Well, it's not a fork of Polkadot, but it's graphene, and so is Polkadot, right? So like it's not a fork of Polkadot. They both came from the same source. So the architecture of Polkadot is the same as BitTensor, and their idea is that you make a parachain that does something in AI, and that's what that is. And when I looked at it, when I looked at it, I wasn't overly impressed that these are like decentralized AI, like you could use like ChatGPT, right? Like it's not like that.
But I think that with the agents and all that, I think that there is like, to talk about the only technical approach. Yeah, you will be able to do that on the sidechain. Will it be interesting to do it? Will it have a good added value? Can you make actually a business out of it? These are other questions, right, that will have to be explored. And I think BitTensor is very interesting. Could there be a second BitTensor, or could eventually BitTensor be connected in a Divi environment at some point? Maybe, right? But this is really like future plans. But technically, it can be done.
Yeah, right. All right. So I don't know that there was much more to say. I mean, honestly, networking there's nothing exciting. There's nothing special in there when you're networking. Being on panels was helping, kind of talk about stuff. But there's no real. All I can tell you is like most of it is boring networking and trying to find partners, both people who want to build and people who want to who are investing. But let's talk about investing.
And you sounded more excited about Bali, right? I think you had a better experience, and I'm bringing that up because it was kind of the smallest event of all of those, right?
Yeah.
But then it seems this was also where you had the most quality connections.
You know why? Because it was slower and there's a lot more one-on-one. And so you could kind of, it's not like this speed dating thing.
Right.
And there's a chance to go and do things with people and like that. Whereas in Singapore, it's just 50,000 people. There's no real connections being made.
There is a lot of chance to meet.
Yeah.
But then there is also many people that want to meet those people. So it's a lot harder. Yeah.
It's very like I can remember people I met in Bali. Like I could just list a few of them, and I still talk with them. But like the number of people I met in like Singapore, I wouldn't be able to do that. Like I have to go through my Telegram and go, oh, that's that person. Like I can't. So that's why Bali was better. All right, let's talk about investing because we're not all bazillionaires. Altcoins still suck. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I'll start the topic. So basically, what we've seen is that everybody was expecting. I mean, I'm not breaking a news here. Everybody was expecting much better momentum for the altcoins, and basically this year we've seen a pretty rough time for the altcoins. Like realistically, you look beyond the like top 30, top 50, like nothing really has moved. Like in reality, our ranking, which is around 1200, 1300, has not changed. Like we're still at the same place, even if we ourselves didn't really move, right? We're still within the same kind of range that we were a year ago, like a little bit better, but this is really marginal. And unfortunately, the altcoin market kind of starts also a little later than the big market leaders. However, every time we had some kind of opportunity for the altcoin market to rise up, every time something else happened. The
Somebody
wars,
says something.
the trade war, and yeah, I mean, we can definitely mention Trump's tweets, which are extremely effective, if we can say that, in shaking the market up. And so so it started in, I think, in March initially. So that kind of definitely, I think we would have seen some kind of better time for the altcoins if we didn't have that. Instead, Bitcoin kind of went back to the 100K range. And then we had like a little break for summer, and it started to go great for Bitcoin, and we were getting at the time for the altcoins, and now it's definitely not going great again. So we just had, this trade war that is restarted now, with China restricting some key components, or the re-export of material that contain key components that they mine. And then Trump that threatened to put like 100% of tariff, 500% tariff. So basically, people are scared again, and so that's where we are. And what we see is that, unfortunately, it impacts not only us, like people who buy the coins, but obviously at a much earlier time, right? Like basically, projects are not able to raise now. We're getting the feedback that a lot of projects were planning to raise in Q4 of this year, and pretty much everybody is pushing back, because they understand that if they push now, it would be very difficult for them to sustain.
Yeah, so let me just say some things on this. I know we have a lot of Trump supporters in our
Community.
audience, and I certainly was all for Trump freeing this industry, and definitely thought another 4 years of the other party was going to freaking kill us. So without a doubt, that's true. We have to recognize that that the tariffs are not they're not a policy, and it's a huge problem that they're not a policy. And by that I mean it's impossible to predict what is happening tomorrow. And it is always true with investors that when we're in times when we can't predict the future, it's very hard to invest, and they don't, so they choose not to. And so when tomorrow Trump might be mad at somebody and put a tariff on their whole country, investors, especially not in the U.S., are hands off. It is a huge problem in our industry and other industries also. And is it going to stop? I don't think so.
Well, I can also hear a little bit of bias, because you say when Trump is mad, and so I'll come out on the other side, on the other party. So the fact is yes, he applies those, but it's usually as a response to something the other country has done. That's the only thing I'll say. Now we can debate that. It is not policy. You are correct. It's still because of both countries not having an agreement that is fundamental to making us feel better in the long term. It upsets the market. Right.
So if you went and came up with whoever he's mad at last, if he went there and said, okay, let's negotiate a deal, right, that is going to be a 5-year deal. That's a policy. That's something like, oh, okay, this is the new reality. Investors can say, okay, I can invest against this new reality.
Yeah.
But I think that's what he does. However, he is, or it looks like, he's really applying his negotiation tactics, right? This out of the deal strategy, which looks like, mafia kind of strategy. But anyway, so he will propose a deal. And then if you don't accept the deal, then he will start to, I don't know, turn your arm up, like to break your arm or something.
A deal that you can't refuse, kind of a situation.
And so clearly you're 100% right. It is extremely difficult for investors and basically everything that is at risk, right? Like one of the consequences, everything is kind of now being captured by more stable, big companies, because obviously the risk is lesser there. And so that's what you see now. Big investment is in those big juggernauts, but then everything that has a little bit of risk, now they will not take that risk, and it has a very, very big impact. Now, of course, it had great results for him. So I don't know what to say about that. Like, it looks like he's obtaining what he wants for some things, not everything. And here, to be fair, while he kind of started this last wave that, last week that we had the major drop, I think 10 billion liquidation, which was the biggest liquidation since like in crypto history. So he started that with a tweet because he threatened to retaliate against China, who released a day before their basically new policy, where they were saying that everything that would have some piece of rare earth in it wouldn't be able to be re-exported without them signing on it, right? And so, in fact, they restarted it, like basically what you said, right? Like they should have a policy, negotiate an agreement. Apparently, they were doing that, or that's his version, right? Obviously, they were doing that, and then China published this in his back, right? So in a way, this time it's China who kind of broke it, but nobody saw it for a day until Trump tweeted about it, obviously.
In any case, it makes people with money who want to put money places nervous.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
But look at yourself, right? Like how many people want to buy some crypto token right now? Like even you who are listening, I'm sure not many are ready to buy a lot. You're waiting for better signs, and everybody is the same.
Here's the funny thing about that. We're talking about uncertainty, right? We think Trump brought at least some positive, maybe some positively progressive changes that are coming. They haven't all been met yet. They've been spoken about, written about, and their frameworks have been done. Then you have other things financial. But on top of that, you made the statement that we were around 1,200 on CoinMarketCap. So now you're talking about where do people put their money? In September of like 2022, there was 70,000 cryptocurrencies on CoinMarketCap. So roughly, I'm this plus or minus maybe 100 or so. So in that year, we explode because we have chains like Solana, and then we later have chains like Base, and we have BSC. So when we look at that, we look at where our monies can go, and now we look at 25.69 million cryptos as of today on CoinMarketCap are tracked. How does the coin holder know where to put their money? There needs to be, I don't know. Yeah. It's just crazy. How do you decide when you go to CoinMarketCap and look? Do you just stay on the front page? I suppose. I don't know.
And CoinMarketCap,
number one position.
And it's not even 10% of the coins that are on CoinMarketCap. Most coins are not listed there.
Yeah, and that's 25.69 million. It is Sui, Solana, Ethereum, Base, BSC. So it's not really blockchains, it's just platforms or tokens that are being launched on these. But it just gets wildly confusing. It's almost anarchy. It's not, but I feel like it when you just have such an explosion from under 100,000 to now in just a few years, 25.
That's right. I forgot to mention that.
Million.
Pump.fun.
Yeah.
Really kind of made a bull market end before the bull market end. because it really
That's
created
true.
some crazy things, like people being extreme, like the liquidity, because the money that's coming in crypto is coming from fiat, right? And so there is not, like, if there is a certain amount coming in crypto, like, and there are like 10 coins, then those 10 coins will like get all this amount. If there are like 25,000 or 2 million or 1 billion coins, obviously the result is terrible. And obviously, like, if you look at, I think those data are public, you can see the performance of wallets on pub.fun.
Yeah.
And what I can't remember properly, but I think is 10% only made profit, and the ones who made really huge profit is a tiny fraction of those 10%.
Tiny fraction. Yeah.
So,
by the way,
that's
that's true for traders too. So there's a platform called Wow Fun or Wow something, or I can't remember what it's called, and it's just a copy trading platform. And this guy, so he's one of the people I met while I was across. But this guy tracks 200 million wallets. Like, I can't, or addresses, I should say.
Wow.
He said wallets, but maybe he means addresses. Anyway, he tracks that many. 10,000 of the 200 million are in the green, and a tiny fraction of those are actually making significant profits, like above like 10%. Like that's how people are doing.
Yeah.
Like all these, and you only hear about successful traders. It's all bullshit.
And look, I think like before, like when I started to get in crypto, I heard from Strat Finance that the trader were 95% losers, right?
Oh,
and
really?
So I think it is still within, right? It's still very close. Like, it makes sense. However, the difference is those traders, they lose in like 20 years on the normal market, right? Like here, we had like a ton of money where people got wrecked in like 4 months. So it is much, much faster.
It's
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say it feels like even our conversation here today is somewhat so much different than what we would have had even just a few years ago. Just the things we're talking about. It feels like after going to these shows, I'm not trying to change the subject, but it's just where I'm feeling. It feels like after going to the events that what we originally thought about crypto and where we wanted to go, and Rob, you've stressed this many times, we're in like the 3rd or 4th generation of crypto. It's happened so fast.
Yeah.
And we've gone from freedom, we've gone from stressing censorship resistance, right? So you can't censor me, sovereign ownership and autonomy, where it was focused on digital assets, represented today, of course, is the revelation is Bitcoin that was successful out of those talks. We know Satoshi was founded on that, but now we went through a phase where we see these launchings and these new coins coming out. But today we're almost in Silicon Valley crypto. Today we're in a new world. Way we talk about it, look about it, the financial part about it, it is Silicon Valley crypto. I just feel like that's where we've gone.
Is that what you're
Pardon?
You mean like the .com boom? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, no, I mean just the mindset, from the investment, and what people are looking at, what people are living and benefiting in.
Yeah, but I think it's the consequence, right? Like, when you want something to reach like a wider audience, a lot of times the people who really care about the thing that they want the larger audience to be reached by, like they don't realize that when it will reach a larger audience, it will actually lose its purity, right? Like, we start to get actually of a worse quality. And what we can see is that the audience has really, I think probably it's 1,000 more % than what it was in 2017. Like, I don't realize how many people are not touched by that, but obviously those people, 99% probably don't care about crypto. They got in here because they saw the money, right?
Yeah.
And so now most of this new audience, they are here for the money thing, and all the VCs, they are here for the money thing, and obviously this is like the biggest part of crypto. Like one thing that for me, I'm amazed that it is happening, but what is getting the most traction now is perp dex. So let's
Perp
clarify.
dexes, yeah.
A perp dex has no assets besides the one you put in, right?
Yeah.
Like there is no, you're not buying anything. You're just taking
Betting.
bets. You're just
betting.
taking bets. Exactly.
Bitcoin's going to go down.
Being in crypto, to go and take bets and never buy the actual asset is insane to me. But it is in that direction where people now who are driving the market are those who want to make money. And obviously this has an end, right? Exactly like when we were talking about the DAT companies. It obviously has an end because you can't just do hype over hype over hype. And so at some point it will have a correction. And I would love to then that the attention will get back on the actual project who are changing and offering solutions.
Let me just kind of get us back on track about investment, and in particular for moving forward. And you mentioned it before, a lot of projects right now that we're trying to do their token generation event, TGE as we call it, this year are postponing because of market. But you got to remember, this is kind of a revelation that I didn't understand like a while ago. But if you do a TGE, you have, in general, most of these companies, well, they've sold tokens before they existed, right? That's part of tokenomics, quote unquote. When they do their TGE, they need to support, if they don't want the price to just plunge, they need to support it. And a lot of the companies have not raised enough money to support their token price with market makers and so forth. And so that is another effect of having an environment where where people are kind of like risky to or feel a risk to invest in. There's a weird stat I saw from Toby and Brent Ventures, which is there's been more investment in crypto this cycle than any cycle before in number of dollars. There has been the least investment than ever before in the number of companies. So that is what's happening there, is that previously funded companies are too big to fail. Right there. So like Layer Zero got $55 million. Story, which was already invested to $100 something million, got another $50 million. Like that's the investments that are happening. And
that's right. And
those are very centralized projects. Let's just say it flatly.
I don't think it matters.
All of those projects. Exactly. It doesn't matter. It's Silicon Valley crypto. And so of course, when you say a name and that name is attached to said investment, then investors, at least traditional finance investments, lean into that name and lean into past history. They're not looking, again, what Neegs stated is they're not looking at changing the world. They're just looking at a safe investment. So they just figure 50 million here is safer than 50 million anywhere else.
I mean, there's another casualty of this, like that's pretty famous, is Kadena. Right. So we Neegs, you brought this to us. You can talk about it if you want.
Sure.
But Kadena has had tens of millions of dollars of funding. I'm looking at this now, right? From major, I'm looking at that. So Compound is a pretty big one. Limitless Crypto is another big one. Like these are the funding that they got. I think you mentioned collaboration with major banks. I think they are supposed to be.
They were founded by people that were directly from executives at JP Morgan, Microsoft, Arta, State Street, and the SEC.
Right. And I knew a lot of people, because I recently bought a Bitcoin miner. I knew a lot of people who were foregoing mining Bitcoin because they could mine Kadena. Neegs, why don't you just tell everybody what happened here?
Yeah. So basically, I wasn't super familiar with the project, but I've seen that people started to share that news, and apparently they didn't inform anybody that the things were not going well, and so they published a long post explaining that they were basically stepping out, right? Their development company. Um, a little bit like their Divi Labs, even if Divi Labs was a little bit different. But blockchains often have a foundation and then a development company, and basically all the development is coming from there. So this company going away without a plan for and a direction moving forward has been basically cataclysmic for their price, right? And it is interesting because if we look at how something kind of similar happened to Divi, right? When Divi Labs shut down, it wasn't done uh, suddenly. Like basically everything was already done to get the project completely decentralized, and then
Correct.
Rob, like you guys and like us, came up with
Just
some
say
kind
it.
of opportunity.
You.
It's not important.
Sorry,
Us,
no,
like
it's hard for you to say. Mm-hmm.
we came with an opportunity, like a different direction,
Mm-hmm.
and I think otherwise it would have been exactly as it's happening right now for Kadena. It is not apparently not stopping to fall. It is now getting. I'm seeing that now getting delisted from everywhere.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
not at
It had
all
a
a smooth
four.
landing, but it's a
Yeah,
crash.
yeah. It raised like tens of millions of dollars.
35, I'm reading.
$35 million. It had a valuation of $4 billion in 2021.
Yeah.
Actually, the top, it was at 27 billion at the top,
Jesus. Yeah.
right? Market cap 27 billion. That's insane.
Yeah. And there are definitely a ton of bag holders here, without a doubt. And people who are well known in the industry are bag holders in this.
Yeah,
So
someone
I
we
guess,
worked with, right? With Divi,
yeah,
we had a couple video with Voscoin for
yeah.
those who remember. And so apparently he had a whole mining operation, and he was
And his
holding
community.
instead of selling it immediately. And he was raging on Twitter. Like I saw a few of his posts,
Yeah.
and he was not great. Like it's sad for those people.
Yeah, so like as a founder, CEO, whatever, you don't like to deliver bad news when it's happening. You want a bright outlook, but as far as I know, this just came out of the blue. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think there's a
Yeah,
month
I
ago
still don't
saying, "Hey,
understand
things are
why.
kind of sucking,"
You see, I'm
Boom.
not gonna mention anybody particularly, but I've been in some operations where the leadership is scared. Like they see
Yeah.
what is coming,
Ah,
and they don't want to talk about anything. They want to hide it until they can't hide it anymore, and then they announce like the huge hammer. And I
Mhm.
think it's terrible. Like in every organization I've been part of, I've
Yeah.
pushed to communicate, open for transparency. I think this is also something we reestablished around DV communication, because I think, yeah, a lot of improvement could come there. And again, like I think it is a terrible way. I understand the legal risk, right? The marketing people that are behind that are, no, don't talk about anything. But in
Mhm.
reality, like I think it's a responsibility towards your users.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
It's
2 crushes down. I think this is gonna just go to zero here.
yeah, I hate to
So
say
the
it. I mean,
top,
if you look at the blockchain, it looks like a decent blockchain. I mean, it had some very important people that built it. It's obviously probably, I haven't gone through everything, but it looks very well designed. The central authority over it has just given up for whatever reason, and maybe leaning into what Neegs has stated. Even I was asking, is it recoverable? Neegs, you lean on the side, no. Obviously, it sounds like Rob, you're saying going to zero.
Yeah.
It really depends upon their relationship with the community and the devs the long term. I am a dreamer. I must admit, I see
And the money,
things
right?
being, yeah, it needs money. That was the one thing we were talking about. It needs money for development. But if the chain is solid right now and they can bring some life back into it, what life is that? What does that mean? I don't have an answer for that. Another direction for it.
For sure.
It could change, but what is the possibility and probability? I would guess not.
I
But
don't know. I gotta
you have your miners.
Yeah, I mean,
And
you do, and they, they've got an EVM in there. We have no idea
yeah,
what happened in the business there. Honestly,
I have no
what
idea.
I see is people are building on base, and that is like
They're building on
almost
base and they're building
that is
on
what I hear. And so,
Solana.
what is the reason to build with Kadena? Like, I don't know what it is, and maybe they couldn't make the case, and like it
Yeah,
just
maybe.
funds ran
That
out.
could be.
You know?
$28.25, they're top.
Yeah,
And
down to 5
now
cents or
they're
whatever it is.
very
Yeah.
close to Divi.
Yeah. So, anyway, so that's a huge casualty, and I think it's just part of this. And they've been around a while, so like what's new and fresh with them? Like there's a whole bunch of investor stuff that happens there, and why they wouldn't inject more money there. Again, while story, which is it's not a fork, but it's very similar to Cosmos. What is it? I suspect we're going to see more things like this, where things that have been around a while aren't fundamentally better than more established. And when I say established, I don't mean the blockchain at all. I mean the companies. Companies like Coinbase is supporting Base, right? That's theirs. And so I think we'll see more of this. It's very difficult to compete, especially when funds are pretty dry. Speaking of which, so we were going to start marketing, right? Until this recent kind of like crash, Neeks. Ooh,
So I
anybody
think
there?
you had like some connection issue here, or maybe
Oh, it was
that's on my
me.
side. We'll recover the
I
local.
thought it was me.
Okay.
I wonder, yeah.
No. So we'll recover the local recording. So
I wonder what I said.
It will not sound. Yeah, I have no idea what you said. But I guess the users will hear it because I'll recover your local recording. So
Yeah,
we'll try to do that.
So I moved on to marketing actually, and then was asking you to talk about it. And,
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, we still have this marketing campaign that is pending the website, and so unfortunately, we've been pushing back. In reality, I actually got into an agreement with an marketing agency. It was in end of May, so started June, and then part of that was basically make some planning, connecting with some influencers, prepare a whole content plan for a month, and then we put everything in pause. But now it has been in pause since June, right? Because we worked on that for like two and a half weeks, and so now unfortunately they are pushing. They're like, hey, it would be good. And actually we wanted to go there on October 15th, and then I think the 10th or the 12th, that's when the thing started to be crazy with Trump and China again. So obviously, I think it was the 10th. So it ruined everything. So I told the marketing agency to hold again, but then they are pushing. They are telling me that they want to start now. So obviously, I didn't give them all the money. We just paid for the planning. So right now, those things are on hold, and so we were also kind of interested to collect your feedback if you want a new website to go live, or if you want to push this marketing campaign. We will basically, if we don't do that now, we will lose a little bit of the money that has been given, because basically they have worked, I think, 27 hours and we still have
Sure.
39 hours of credit. However, no influencers has been paid, nothing else has been paid. We still have the money for that. And basically, if we were moving forward, we would basically risk that money now with influencers in that, I think, very bad period. So
we
have to
almost
kind of
need
take a
this
choice.
cut out, highlighted, and maybe I'll make sure when I separate these sections out, we highlight the link in the text that this is although everything I think we talk about is important, at least to crypto in general and Divi, but this is very important. Everybody
I'll
needs
make
to
an
respond.
article. I'll make an
That's
article
good.
on the blog.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. One more thing. I want to kind of, like, I was kind of a bummer at the end here because I hate the market kind of outlook here because it's very unpredictable. That said, I did listen to a lot to Michael Turpin because I went to a lot of BitAngels events. Michael Turpin wrote this book called Supercycle. I can't believe I'm kind of like,
You are advertising it.
I know exactly.
Advertising him.
Did he?
So for me,
$7,000.
Yeah. So for me, there's there's kind of like this, not a battle, but like they have different outlooks for Bitcoin between Michael Saylor and Michael Turpin. In that Michael Saylor thinks the cycles are over, and the reason he supports that position is that there's a ton of institution, like it's very well known now. Only 4% of the people own Bitcoin. There's institutional buy-in now, and so for him, his claim is that there's only up. There's no more cycle attached to the halvings. Turpin does not believe that. Turpin believes the halvings are still fundamental to what he calls the super cycle, which he has different seasons, spring, summer, winter, fall. And we're all kind of familiar with these. It's kind of, the bull, the bear, the kind of the level parts between them, the run up to the bull. Those are the different seasons. You can read his book. But so he still doesn't see any reason to believe that those cycles that have been pretty rock solid since Bitcoin started are ending. He thinks they're going to continue. He thinks that we're going to move from our position now to anywhere between 150 and 200. He's been pretty consistent in those numbers for as long as I've been going to his events and talking with them. And so, according to him, it's around the corner, end of this year, early next year. And that's kind of how he foresees it. So even though things are kind of down right now, even though things are, we're kind of like reveling in like when's it going to happen? For Bitcoin, he still sees the cycles going forward properly. You can plan against them financially. You can read his book if you want to know how. And if you can, and that we are not, we're not at a top, we're not past the top, like his top is still coming.
So I think your clarification at the end is very important. For Bitcoin, he claims that he thinks the cycle will remain. Now, I think, does he have, I didn't read his book or listen too much to him, but did he talk about the intensity of those cycles? Because I've seen that some claim that the cycles are over, some claim that the cycle will remain the same, and some claim that now the cycle will be a lot smaller because of all the external impact.
No, it's not just because of that. There's every cycle, the cycle has been smaller.
Yes, but I think what they claim is that now it will be like a major shift to much smaller ups and downs.
I think he thinks that these cycles will follow its pattern of a descending top. And he has, I can't remember what it was. So like the last top was lower than it should have been. And he had a reason for that. And I can't remember what it is, honestly. But he had some reason like that. This top should have been higher, but blah, 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 or some reason.
Okay.
But he thinks the top, he didn't say it outright, but he doesn't disagree with Saylor that only 4% of the people hold crypto at all. And that we all kind of expect that number to grow a lot. Right. And so what he thinks, though, is that these cycles, he didn't say this, so I have to infer it from what he said. And what I'm inferring is that he thinks the cycles may in fact get stronger because it's going to be harder to mine. So there'll be less miners, and there'll be more people entering, and so he thinks the cycles will continue. Right. And again, as I said, he didn't say it, but he kind of implied that as people enter, those cycles should return in a bigger way. So that's kind of what's happening. I mean, you saw the people lining up to buy gold, right? When the price goes up. So it's going to be
doesn't that mean it's the end of the gold bull market?
That's what it means.
When your neighbor is trying to find it.
Yep. That's what it means.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good point about that. I think for the altcoins, it's a little bit more critical. However, I think that there has been an overload, and I think that people right now have no idea what to invest into, and they are essentially driven by making a profit and getting out. Like it is now it's not the first cycle. Like people are getting mature in some way, and one of the things that you learn is that a lot of those coins will get you burnt, even if the technology behind it is good. And so people are scared now, and I think that it is a reason of why the alt market is definitely lagging behind, and it will be difficult. I think at the end of the day, you will have refocus on the good coins, but I think it will go through a purge in between, and I don't know how it will happen. But
I think in the book, I don't know about if it's in the book, I haven't read it yet, but he did talk about alt season, like its relevance and how it's timing with regard to Bitcoin. I believe I don't want to say anything because I can't remember what he said, but I thought he said altcoins happen after Bitcoin peaks.
Yes, I agree. Like usually, if you look at the alt season, it is like the peak of Bitcoin happen, and then the next few weeks when it stabilizes, first it drops a little bit, then it stabilizes, and then it's the alt season. But still, when it's going up,
just shifts,
you
right?
still have the altcoins. You still have the altcoins going up during the up phase. Not a lot, but a little bit, and we haven't seen that this year, right? So, but again, I think also it's important to take into account that this happens when it gets a little bit crazy, when people are looking a little less at what they're doing, and then there is way more money than brains that is coming in the market. And I think that unpredictable situations and shock campaigns like what's happening with Trump actually prevent that crazy time to come.
Yeah.
So we need a longer calm period for this to come, I think.
Yeah. All right. That's all I got for today.
That's it. That was a long one, but it has been a long time.
Yes.
Yeah, it was good. We haven't spoken, I think, for over a month, I think, right?
Right. Yep. Wow. Yeah, 5 weeks, I think. We did have a request on Twitter, but it happened a few days ago. And clearly, you're just back from this whole trip. So thank you for making in that episode, Rob. But we will be looking at Avalanche.
Yes, we will.
It is not that much different than others, and it will be an interesting topic for one of the next episodes.
That's a very good point. You say not much different. Go ahead.
Yeah, when we do that, we could probably look at all of the modular networks: Avalanche Base, Cosmos, Polkadot, Sui.
Yes,
they're all modular.
So we do have Polkadot
that way. Sorry?
And I think we do have Polkadot because we've reviewed that and we published the Jam update recently. But I think that a refresher on the first videos that we did going through the sidechains and all that, it will be easy because we already have this info. It's just about repeating it, but we just say that in the first videos, and I think a lot of people are still asking those questions. So it would be
I think it's good. Well, we had that one segment that came out too where we stressed, obviously you can listen to the full updates when we have them on each project, like we have a Cosmos and we have a Jam. I think we have something else too. Some comparisons. Do listen to those. And if you listen to those, you'll kind of get the theme of what their project is. Everybody has a similar theme. Now, how they use the protocols and where they place the protocols and the exact protocols may be unique, but the theme is very similar. It's not the same. And our last update, which was like a week ago in the segments, just said, hey, just remember, people use similar terminology, but it doesn't always mean the same thing. And that's a super huge thing to understand in crypto. All right.
Cool. All right,
I belabored that. Hey, thanks for listening. And if you have any questions, let us know.
And yeah, exactly. Ask questions and let us know for the marketing. Like if you want to rush that, if you want to wait, obviously there is a cost on waiting, but I recommend we wait because basically I think it would be more lost cost if we.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye now.
Thanks, everyone.